Hey, Jerry here, CBC Base Camp Learning Platform, and what we're bringing out is another segment on our tools and tactics for developing up your training and how to effectively be an effective trainer. But see, the first thing that we've got to do is we've got to have some ingredients to start the process with. And the process starts with the person that you are training. That goes through how did you recruit them? Did you test them? Do they have the mechanical skills you're looking for? Do they have the math skills you need? In other words, do they have the basic skills that you need to do the job? The next thing's involved is proper onboarding. How are you onboarding your new people? You've got to take them through an onboarding process. And in that process, you've got to share with them what your expectations are, what your standard operating procedures are. You got to spell out to them what your processes are. But what you've also got to do is give them a strategy for how they're going to develop in the most rapid manner to turn into what you're truly looking for, which is a profitable and productive member of your team. So that's what this is all about. It's a short little course on how to do this and how to design your training strategy. Okay. So the first thing is you've got to define the job skills this person is going to have to possess when they are at that point of that profitable and productive worker that you want to make happen in your company. What do you need this person to know? You've got to spell this out. You've got to be able to share this with them in a way that they truly understand what the expectations are. Okay, this is vastly important. You know, years ago, I used to think of developing training strategies and doing them in 30-day segments. In other words, at the end of 30 days, this is what we want you to do. But you know something, I found out I was wrong. Today, you got to start doing this in daily segments. In other words, what do you want them to learn each and every day during this training period? It's got to be spelled out. You know, it cannot be successfully approached if you're just going to train when you get the time, when you get around to it, when the workload allows. Training has to be a strategic approach to get the platinum and gold results you're looking for. You've got to really get serious with this thing. And like I said, with today's technology, now content is delivered to you in such a manner that you've got all kinds of content that's available to you right there at your fingertips on your smartphone through apps. All kinds of education is available through technology. Technology has changed the world, and technology is changing the way we train our workers. I've been training for between 35 and 40 years since I did my first training course, and I can tell you that the way that we train people has drastically changed, and in the last several years and down to even the last several months, this is now a totally new way to train people. If you'd have told me 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that we were going to be training at the level that we are using technology today, I wouldn't have thought it was possible, but it is possible. Your goal is to rapidly turn a raw recruit into a seasoned veteran in the least amount of time. But to do that, what you're going to have is you're going to have a strategy because you can't do it. You can't approach it when you get getting around to it. It doesn't happen. So I'm going to take you through some methods here of how to develop your training strategy. And one of the easiest ways I find, and it works for a lot of people, it's what's called a mind map. And a mind map is simply taking the contents out of your mind and putting them down on paper. I've taught several classes about mind mapping. I've got courses on our educational platform that will explain to you the process of mind mapping. I've explained it in various classes that I've done, and I've done webinars on it over the public airways. But mind mapping is a method of taking what's in your mind, getting it on paper, and from that point, you can then see you can see what your mind contains. And it's a very useful process. Again, I've got an entire course within our platform on how to mind map. And if you can't find it, we'll help you get into it. It's under our webinar tab. But look at that. It will take you through, but give you the short process. You can see that I have now, what I want to do is the purpose of this mind map is develop training for a new technician. So what I want to do is come out and I'm going to write my categories around about this. Now, this will be for a technician to learn how to be a chimney service technician, a chimney sweep, and the services that he does. Now, you may have other categories. It could be relining, it could be any number of things. So you may have numerous. I just wanted to do this for an illustration. So I have my new tech here, and my new tech, I know I want to train him and I want him to do his job safely. So I'm going to develop up in the training system what are the factors that go into him doing his job safely. He's got to protect his body. He's got to learn how to climb ladders, walk on roofs, use scaffolding, perhaps using rope access. Do we wear helmets? Do we wear gloves? Do we put protective clothing on? All those things have to be listed in there. Are we going to train them on dryer vents, dryer vent inspection, dryer vent replacement? We have inspections. We got inspections of chimneys. It could be any number of things you're inspecting for. We have masonry. Do you want him to learn masonry skills? We have chimney sweeping. That's the basis of it, is sweeping the chimney. But when you get down to it, the average chimney sweep service technician, how much of his time does he spend chimney sweeping, and how much time does he spend doing other things? See, one of the problems you're maybe going to have is as you look at training new people, you may have years of experience. So what you've also got to have is the patience and the understanding and the ability to voice this in a way that your new hire can understand. Now, that's what we have striven to do or strive to do, or however you want to pronounce it. That's what we have tried to do in our CBC Basecamp learning platform. We've tried to make it where you have the courses to go through that are going to give you the content to train in these different areas. And we're building this program into a fairly massive level. So you're going to see the courses are going to continue to build on this platform on a weekly basis as we come up with new ways and new methods and new courses and new ways to help you train your workforce. So you take your mind map and you can see around the boxes that are drew, you can see there's little circles. Well, those circles would contain all the different factors that you've got to train on to become, we'll say, a successful chimney sweep doing chimney sweeping. You've got to know how to pick your tools. You got to know how to use vacuums. You've got to know how to protect the customer's interior. You got to know how to remove a damper, how to disconnect stovepipe. So what you've got to do in the chimney sweeping operation is mind map that out for each one of these segments of their training. And this is how you're going to put it together. Now, as you're doing this, what's the most important things, because you can't dump it all onto them at one time. So you've got to select how you want to build this. You cannot rely on someone else to put your training strategy together for your company. Companies vary too much in their service work and what they do. So there isn't a set pattern here of how the order you're going to put them in. It's got to be an order that works for you. So what do you need them to learn first? This is what you've got to list down, and you've got to put this together as part of your strategy, okay? I want to remind you of this. You can sit back and look and think about this, but I want to tell you right now that unless you start, you're never going to finish unless you get started. So I'm going to ask you a question. When are you going to start? Do you see that there's a need for this strategy to help you in your business to reach your goals in order to develop this great new technician? And it's not just technicians we're talking about, it's every position within your company. Every single position. You've got to have a training system put together that explains how to do it. And not only that, you've also got to explain to them in the process why we're doing it. This is one of the factors. And you've got to understand the different generations. You've got to understand the different learning styles. And all this is what you're going to do to move to a higher level in order to train people to the next level that you're looking for. That's how it works. In this process, you want to set your milestones. And when the milestones are reached, is there a reward? Is there a carrot out there? What's going to drive this person to do these things? And then it comes down when they reach these various plateaus, how are you going to celebrate this? What's going to be the reward? Because this is very, very important. People have to be told, you're doing a great job. People need a pat on the back. People need reassurance. This is part of your position as a leader. Great leaders know how to reward and celebrate the people that they're leading. So that's the question to you as you put this package together. How are you going to reward people? How are you going to celebrate the victories? Now, this is another method. Maybe you're more of an outline person. Maybe that's the what works for you. And some people can't mind map. So the other way is do it in an outline method. You probably were taught how to make an outline in school. So you keep going down. What's the points? What's your main topics? And underneath it, what do they need to do? So you go back to the methods that we learned in grade school and grammar school, and that's how you put it together. So you've got to do the outline. You can't think of everything at one time. Once you put it down on paper, all of a sudden you can sit back and you've got a roadmap to take you to that destination you're looking for, which is success of the new hire. That's your destination you're looking for. Just like you were sitting on the east coast of America and you're going to drive and go to Sacramento, California. You're going to pick out your roads. You're going to know what your milestones are. You're going to know probably where you're going to be tomorrow night. You probably didn't leave home and not have enough funds to carry you through the trip. So I'm going to go to the West Coast, but I got to map it out properly. So if you look at anyone who travels across the country, they don't go straight across because there's a roadblock over there, which is called the Rocky Mountains. So whenever trucks go across the country, they're going to map themselves on what's called the southern route. They're going to go down, they're going to go through, if they left Charlotte, North Carolina, believe it or not, they're going to go down and go through Houston, Texas. They're going to ride the interstates on down low. And the reason being is they're going to avoid the mountains, which makes more hazardous driving, and they'll get there faster. So that's what you want to do in your strategy, in your design of your training program. How are you going to get there safely and with the least amount of problems, bad weather, curvy roads, all the things that come into play on making a road trip? You see, that's what you're on. You're on a trip to get to your destination. And what's that goal? A productive, properly trained, profitable member of your team. And then that's gonna happen whenever you use the right tools, the right tactics, and deliver them in a right way and in a way that is mapped out so your new hire doesn't have to grasp at straws to understand where do I start. You know, you may be in the business a lot of years and you learn things in little dribbles and drabs. Today you hire someone and he's got to know a whole lot more than you probably had to know when you entered this industry. So you got to have the patience and you got to have the tools to properly train this person to make them that profitable member of your team, which was the goal you had. You see, you're the leader. And as the leader, what your role in this, you have to develop the strategy. You got to develop the plan. You got to make the map. You got to spell out the strategy. Like I said, since we've rolled out our online platform, I'm seeing some people doing some phenomenal things, mapping out strategies of training, and they're doing all the things. What these include are the following. They have accountability built into this programs. They're holding their people accountable. The next thing they're doing, they're assigning the people the courses that they want them to take. See, with an electronic program such as the CBC Learning Platform, now you can assign the classes that you want them to take. What they're doing, they're setting expectations. They're sharing their expectations. And most of all, they are setting ways to track and measure for success. So I hope this has helped you in enabling you in how to put your strategy together. You know, often as the business owner, what you're doing, you're going to fight fires. Every day it seems like you get up, chaos erupts, and let's go fight some more fires. Do you want to stop fighting fires? Do you want wildfires to stop occurring in your business? I'm giving you the answer. Develop your strategy. Use the tools that are available to you that have never been available, before, that's coming to light. Technology is changing the world, and technology is changing the way we train. And at CBC Coaching, we've decided that we have to use technology. And we're going to use technology to the best of our abilities. And our plan is to build the most phenomenal training platform that will help our customers, help our clients, and help anyone to build those great team members that we've been looking for. But in closing, I want to remind you, you've got to properly recruit. Number two, you got to properly plan. Number three, you got to build a strategy. Number four, you have to set your expectations. You've got to set a way to hold accountability. You got to have a way to measure. You got to have a way to track. You got to have all these things going. And you got to have a way to reward people. And you got to have a way to celebrate the victories, because that's what it's all about. You put these systems and strategies together, and you know what's going to happen. You are going to have victories to celebrate. It's going to happen. This is Jerry. I want to thank you for being my customer. I want to thank you for listening in, and I hope this will help you develop your training strategy. Let us know how we can help you in any way at any time as we develop this phenomenal learning platform that's now available to you. Thanks for joining me. Hope you have a great day.